Hey, it's Dr. Day coming to you this, what day is it? Thursday evening, the 1st of January 2026. Not going to be long. I just want to share with you today. I was looking through a notebook, and I have a notebook where last year, the last 2 years, God had given me some quotes. And as I was looking down, this one particular quote kind of stuck out. Not saying that all of them was not anointed and came from the throne of grace and they didn't have no merit or they didn't have no meaning. But this one kind of stuck out because I seen myself at one time or another allowing this to happen. And so I thought about as we in 2026, I had to recognize and I had to speak to myself because, I'm always speaking to myself. I'm always Linda, this and that. But what I recognize today that is, and I want to share this with you too, you have to know grace meets you where awareness begins. Let me say that again. You have to know grace. The grace of God meets you where awareness begins. And so when I thought about the quote, and the quote that the Father had given me was, the only person sabotaging you is you. And, when you sabotage something, you extract or you deliberately destroy whatever you damage, you block. And so when I was thinking about it, I said there were some situations and circumstances in my life where I sabotaged myself. Now, in the sabotaging, and you might sit back if you really take that Selah moment and you really look over your life and you're wondering why certain things happen, is because you, like I keep saying, are the common denominator in everything that happens in your life. And so it takes me to Proverbs 23:7, where it says, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. So what is it that you think about in your heart? And then we know life and death is in the power of the tongue. You can speak life or you can speak, death. It's up to you. And so when I was looking at that quote, I was like, the only person, Linda, sabotaging you, Linda, is you, Linda. You're the only one that's sabotaging you. And so I thought about it, and I just want to share this with you. Are you the one that's sabotaging things that's going on in your life? And even though other people and circumstances might sometimes contribute to the things that might sabotage you in life, it doesn't take away from the fact that others don't hurt you. It doesn't take away from the fact that whatever trauma you might have experienced, and I'm just not going to say in 2025, whatever trauma in your life that you may have experienced, did it sabotage you and stop you? Did it make you just not want to continue the journey? And I'm not talking about being harmful to yourself or doing those things that will bring harm to yourself, but you just want to like throw in the towel. You don't want to work towards your purpose and your destiny. And so you have to realize that when, things sabotage you, the situation is real. It doesn't take away from whatever happened, but you have to, however, on the other hand, you have to think about this. You have to think about, like I said, the only person sabotaging you is you. Your thoughts and choices and beliefs have power. What is it you think? Because whatever you think, like I said, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so he be. So what is it that you think about yourself? Because whatever you think about yourself will bring power. Things will either manifest or they will not manifest. And you have to think about what you keep telling yourself will work against you. And most of the times, I know in my case, so let me talk about me. I am my worst critic. I am my worst critic on myself. I am so hard on myself. Not that I know that I am perfect, because none of us is perfect, but I just be hard on myself, that the things that I venture out to do, the things that I want to do, I want to make sure that I'm doing them with every fiber of my being. I want to cross every T and dot every I. I want God to be proud of me. And so sometimes I do things, or I might say things, and I've given it the best I know how to give it, but then I'll go back and then I'll start critiquing the things that I did, and I'll be like, no, you should have said this, you should have did that. But I thought about that, like, that's how I sabotage myself. That and it works against me when I'm always being critical, because you can only give as much as you have, and you give it out, and sometimes you might not have no more to give. And then sometimes what you do give is suffice and enough for that situation in that moment at hand. But when I start, like I said, critiquing and doing all those things, then that's when I sabotage myself. I just, like I said, I just get so, I don't want to say angry, I'm mad. That's because those are harsh words, but I just get disappointed in myself. And I think that, like I said, I should have did this, or I could have did this, and why I didn't go this way, just all this stuff, this thing, because I start thinking in my mind that and I'm not concerned what people think. I used to be that way, that what people thought about me or what I said, people was not going to receive it, people's going to receive it. I don't do that no more. I don't really care what people think about me, but it's what I think about myself, and I be hard on myself. And it's a load to carry when you hard on yourself, and then you got other people that's hard on you. That's a heavy load. So I dropped the other load of worrying about what people think about me and how people want to sabotage you, because people will try to sabotage you. Okay, believe that. People will try to sabotage you. Like I keep saying, you might be headed in a direction that you are now seeing as time is going on. You're getting older and you want to do some things differently. Because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. So you have purpose in your mind to start doing some different things. And then, here come the naysayers, and here come all the people that have the jealous spirits, or people that have animosity against you and don't even know why they don't like you. And, whatever it might be, and they'll sabotage you. And then you sabotage yourself. And so what you do, you find yourself sitting in the corner, twiddling your thumbs, scratching your head, trying to figure out why life has dealt you this hand, when you contribute to it because you took what they said and allow it to block you, to obstruct you, to take you down a path that you didn't really want to go. And then after they beat you up, then you start beating yourself up. And so I had to learn to stop doing it. And this is the time when God gave me this quote, the only person sabotaging you is you. It was because it was a couple of years ago that there were some situations, there were some circumstances, and there were some people who I had allowed into my inner circle. Now, sometimes you got to watch who you allow in your inner circle, for real, because everybody is not going where God is trying to take you, and people will not want you to go there because they're not ready to go. So I had allowed some people in my inner circle, and not saying that I thought these individuals were perfect, and it was family members too. Okay, sometimes it's your family members that can try to sabotage you. So you got to be mindful of that also. And so when those people start hurting me, then I became hard on myself, and I started thinking that something was wrong with me. And I'm like, well, I'm doing everything I can. I'm being who God, I think who God called me to be. So why is it they're not accepting me? Why is they like always I have something to say and it's always negative, or it's always like they want to shift the blame on me, and they want to say, well, you think you know everything and you so holy than thou. You know how those little phrases that people say to you when you're trying to give them a little advice, or you're trying to give them a suggestion, or you maybe even trying to coach them a little bit into like, hey, have you ever thought about doing something this way, doing it different than that? And then they looking at you like you Fubu the clown, and you got stupid written all over your forehead when you were the one that was trying to help them. And so then they'll go about, like I said, and try to sabotage you. And then you start sabotaging yourself because you feel bad that you shouldn't have said nothing to Pookie and Bebe. So I had to learn last year and the year before that people gonna be people. I mean, that's just it. People gonna be people. You can't control the way people think, but you can control everything that concerns you. You can control your thoughts. You can control your actions. So when you stop sabotaging yourself, and knowing that healing will take place when you stop waiting for someone to change. You cannot change no one. You are not God, you know. You didn't create them. So stop trying to change people. I know I used to have that habit years ago, trying to change people. My mom used to tell me all the time, Linda, you cannot save the whole world. I mean, I used to just bring people home all the time. People, had girlfriends that whatever situations was going on in their house, they would run away from home, and I would bring them in the house when my mom went to sleep, and let them come in my bedroom, and they would sleep in there. And then I forget that during the night or in the morning when my mom get ready to go to work and to wake us up for school, that the individual is right there in the house. So but the individuals that I was trying to change, they didn't want to change. And as I look back on these young ladies, I don't even know where they're at now after all these years. We had this little group of ladies. It was like 6 of us that was in a group, and my mom used to let us, this is a side story. My mom used to let us have parties on the weekend, and she would move all the furniture in the living room, and we would charge 25 cents a person or 50 cents a couple, and my mom would be in the kitchen, and she would make hot dogs and sell sodas. And this is how we got our Adidas, and this is how we got our Converse, and then we used to wear the stockings, the stockings that had the little garters and all that stuff. And so like I said, it's a side story, but I think about that now, that I was trying to change these ladies, these young ladies, and it's a couple of them that used to hang with my sister. Now, my sister, she has gone home to be with the Lord, but she was a handful for my mama. So I was the child that was trying to make my mom proud. I didn't do things to upset her. My mom was trying to, raise us and work and, do all the things that she could do. And I wanted to just, try to change Rochelle. And that was my friend named Rochelle. And my sister name was Janice. So I always wanted to change them and waiting for them to change. And even my sister, as years went on, she still was a handful. I mean, she used to run away from home and just, all kind of stuff. So I say all that to say, I didn't learn to take responsibility for my own growth. I was trying to take what was going on with them. So that's a way how you can sabotage yourself when you're trying to be the savior for everybody else. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, as in a nutshell, as I went all the way around the mulberry bush, trying to give you an example of what I'm talking about. But you have to really look within yourself and know and see what is it that this year that you're going to not allow to sabotage you from going forth. Is it you? Is it your children, your grandchildren? Is your co-worker, whoever it might be, your significant other, if you have a significant other, your ace coon boon, whoever it is, you have to stop allowing those people to sabotage you, because if you don't, then you're sabotaging yourself because you're allowing them to sabotage you. So the only person sabotaging you is you, because you're allowing those other people to sabotage you, if that makes any sense. So as I was thinking about it today, I'm going to give you these little points right here that God gave me. Like I said, I'm not going to be on here long. I just wanted to share this with you. And for 2026, recognize this so you can stop sabotaging yourself. The only power you have is what you believe. What is it that you believe about yourself? Do you believe what other people tell you? Because people are good about, telling you this, you that, and you should do this, and how you should do it, when you should do it. But what is it that you believe? You're the only one that have the power to believe whatever it is that you believe about yourself. Do you have good thoughts about yourself? Do you wake up in the morning and you're so excited about who you are? You're so excited that you have this goal, this drive, this determination. Do you believe that whatever your finances might been last year, the year before, that in this year they're going to be different? You have to be the one to believe, okay? Because if not, you're going to continue to sabotage yourself and keep in that belief that you're not who God say you are. First of all, you got to believe who God say you are. And the only way that you can believe what God say you are and who you are is you got to know what the word of God says about you. Now, when you don't know what the word of God says about you, then that is a way that you sabotage yourself, because you block the blessings. You deliberately go against the grain of what God has said about you. The Bible tells us before we was even formed in our mother's womb, God already knew about us. He already knew the situations you're going to do. He already knew the circumstances. He even knew the route you was going to take. Many of us in our lives, we take detours. It is what it is. We take detours, and maybe you have good intentions not to take detours, but unfortunately we take detours because we think that we know more than God. And so that's another way how we'll sabotage ourselves. We'll go out there when God say go right, then we decide we won't go left, because you saying, God, you don't know what's in. If I go right, I'm going to miss whichever way God told you to go, and you go the opposite of what God told you to go, is you're thinking that you're going to miss something if you don't go where your mind tell you to go. And 9 times out of 10, that's the enemy. He don't know what God has for you. But when he see you on the right path and the straight path of righteousness and doing the things of God, he going to come in there and sabotage you some kind of way. And when he sabotages you, what do? He allow you to sabotage yourself, because now you're not moving in the direction that God has told you to go. So in 2026, you have to stop. You have to know your worth, because if you don't know your worth, you will sabotage yourself. So you have to know your worth. You have to become aware of your faults, okay? Because if you don't become aware of your faults, that is another way of hindrance that you will sabotage yourself. You have to stop blaming and start healing. You got to stop blaming people. You got to stop blaming yourself. It is what it is. You did what you did, and keep it moving. People are just, sometimes we just live in condemnation, and condemnation will keep you stagnated, and condemnation will block, obstruct, and sabotage your life, because you're holding on to something that you did it. It's over with. Why you keep wearing those same grave clothes, if lack for a better word? So you sabotage yourself when you don't take ownership for what you did. And when you take the ownership is when you have the ability to start healing. And that's what not sabotaging yourself is about. You can start healing. You're no good to yourself. You're no good, especially to the kingdom. Some of you are walking around with a mighty anointing on your life. You don't even know it yet because you've been running. I mean, it's kind of like, I know because I've been there, done that, and wore that t-shirt. I was running for a long time. And as I got older and matured, and I'm like, okay, I keep sabotaging myself from running away from God, and then I kept noticing that the same thing over and over was happening. And then, it get to a point where you have to take, just sit, like I said, take a deep breath and see, okay, why is nothing not changing? Why am I where I'm at now? And when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and keep adding the numbers, it's still the same. Because you didn't allow whatever it is that you was doing in your life, whatever it is that was putting you in condemnation, whatever it is that was putting you on a guilt trip, you didn't take the time to heal. You didn't take the time to, first of all, in the healing process is surrendering to God. The healing process is, number one, you got to repent. And it's not that God don't know what you're doing. He knows everything about you. He knows the number of hairs on your head. Even if you bald head like me, God knows the number of follicles on my head. God knows everything about you. He just waiting for you to acknowledge. Because once you start acknowledging it, then you'll start sabotaging yourself. And you will heal. And it's just unfortunate, so many people, like I've been there too. I had so many different areas of my life that needed healing. And sometimes it can be a combination of a whole bunch of things. But how many of you know that when you stop sabotaging yourself, that one area that you really have the main sabotage going on could eradicate and erase all the rest of the stuff? Because there's always one stronghold that has credence, dominance over everything else that's going on in your life. And if you can get whatever that is that's sabotaging you, that one thing, all other stuff will break loose. You'll be free. But as long as you keep sabotaging yourself and being, like I said, in condemnation and worrying about what people send, you're going to never heal. You're going to never heal. Life, I'm beginning to understand more and more, is a journey. It's a journey that is so full of great expectations, so full of peace and joy. It doesn't really matter what's going on in the world. Of course, you have to be cognitive and mindful of your surroundings, okay? I'm not saying just put your guards down. You always have to be, mindful of stuff, because the enemy is out to steal, kill, and destroy. That's his main purpose. But when you know that whatever the situation in your life that took you or that tried to take you out, and you recognized it, and you stop being a partner to whatever it is, and you start healing, you'll be able to recognize within yourself that you're stronger than what you believe you are. And so then when there's nothing new under the sun, there's nothing new that happens in your life. And so usually the enemy sits and he studies you. He know you. Oh, he know you better than you know yourself. He know what to dangle at you. He know what to put in your path. He know what to make you feel good. He know what's going to make you cry. He knows everything about you. I really do. And I said this one time before, just like God has the book of life on all of us, I believe the enemy has a book on all of us too. And he can go in there and be in chapter 1 and know that in chapter 1, you sabotage yourself by doing X, Y, and Z. And he'll let it ride, and then you become healed of it, you become delivered of it, and then he go up in chapter 3 and he bring that same self-sabotaging thing, whatever it was in chapter 1, he'll bring it in chapter 3, and you thinking it's something new, but it's not nothing new. It's the same texture, it's the same structure. He just brought it in a different way, so you don't recognize it. Because if you recognize, and if you recognize that you've been around that mountain before, you're saying, oh no, devil, not this time, not this time. But because you have so many things going on around you, and so many things that's sabotaging you, and so many things that you believe in, and you thinking, like I said, Proverbs 23:7 says, for a man's heart is so as he thinketh. So you're thinking all these worst things of yourself. You're thinking that God doesn't love you. You're thinking that because you did this and you did that, that God does not love you. God doesn't work like that. God is not a man like that. God don't operate like man. God doesn't throw what you did up in your face. God says, you sabotage yourself. You did this, but I'm not going to throw it. He said he'll throw it into the sea of forgetfulness. You're the only one that keep bringing it up. And as you keep bringing it up and 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 wearing the same clothes, I'm just using that for an example. You keep sabotaging yourself, and you become complacent, you become stagnant, you don't move, and you don't grow. So in 2026, you got to recognize that whatever that you are allowing to block in your life, whatever you're allowing to destroy in your life, you have the ultimate power to stop it and cut it at the root. The power is in you. You have the power. And I am so glad that I have learned that I have more power than I recognize. And the power that I have is like God is holding me up with his wings, and he's giving me the strength, and he's renewing me. He's renewing my mind. He's renewing my heart. There's some things that I know that, it seemed like they're not going to come to pass, and it seemed like they're not going to manifest. But now I know that I don't have to worry about that, because I've learned in the last really 6 months, it's really been in the last 6 months, because I think that's about the time my car went down. And sometimes when things happen in your life, you got to take a different approach to it. You got to think different. Okay, yeah, I need a vehicle. Yeah, that's okay. But I noticed when these last 6 months that my vehicle's been down, that this is the time that I have really gotten God's face. I have really spent time with God, and I recognize that everything that was going on in my life prior to that, you get so busy. We're such a busy generation. We got so much to do. When, this year you got the purpose to stop running so much. All that running, what is it doing? It's tiring you out mentally, physically, spiritually. You got to stop doing all of that. And so I noticed, like I said, in these last 6 months, since I have just been, I don't want to use the word confined, but since I've been in this house, that I have learned some stuff about Linda. I have learned that all the things that maybe were going on and prior to the hurts and the disappointment, it was all because of what I was thinking. And I was the one that was sabotaging myself. I was the one that was blocking. I was the one doing deliberately stupid things. It was nobody else's choice. It was mine. But I have learned in these last 6 months that I'm just going to ride this out with God now. Like I keep saying, y'all, I have more days behind me than I have in front of me. And so I'm just excited that I have a new mindset. I have a new purpose. I know that everything that may have not transpired or may not have come to fruition or whatever the word is during the time that I thought they should have came, is that maybe it wasn't in God's timing. And then could it be that I stepped in the way and sabotaged what God had set the motion and the time and the place? I was supposed to be here and I was supposed to do this, but because I wanted to be in charge, of my own destiny, and I'm thinking that I can do this without God, that I sabotage the things that God had already preordained and pre-planned. Like I said, the Bible said before we was informed in our mother's womb, God had already did everything that concerns your life. And I just thank God that I'm learning this. Like I said, if it's meant for me to be confined in this house, to sit here and snoot and snot and cry before the Lord, then I'm okay with it. That I know now that I'm not going to sabotage myself no more. I was the only one sabotaging everything that was going on in my life. And I thank God for the revelation. I thank God that when God gives me these quotes that, as he give it to me, I put them out. Sometimes I be looking at them and I be like, this is not even making sense, but it's not for me to try to understand and interpret when God gives you something. When God gives you something and it's going to help somebody else and it's going to encourage somebody else, then you go for it. You put it out there. And so, like I said, I was looking at, I got all these quotes and I'm like, God, this is not making sense. But now I know that I was sabotaging not only myself by not putting it out there, but I was sabotaging and blocking someone else to be blessed. Because the reality of it, y'all, is everything that goes on in your life is not for you anyway. It's for you to encourage, to inspire someone else. This is what God put us here for. Not only to worship and adore him and to spend time with him, but to be a blessing to our brother and sister, not a hindrance. And so I thank God that I have learned, like I said, in these last couple of months, that everything that was looking dismal, on everything that I was fretting about, or everything that I was thinking that I should have did better, or I should have did this and I should have said this to that person, it was me sabotaging me. It wasn't God. And then, sometimes when things happen in our life, we want to blame God. No, you're sabotaging your own self. You got to get out your own way. You got this stinking thinking, they call it. And then whatever you think is what your heart, you believe. If you believe that you're worthless, if you believe that you're nothing, if you believe that you're not going to amount to anything, if you believe that you're not going to get out this financial situation that you're in, if you believe whatever it is that you believe, the Bible said, for what you think in your heart, that is what it's going to be. So you got to take a Selah moment. I keep telling y'all these Selah moments is good. And these last 6 months, I've been in some Selah moments. I've been in some Selah moments. My son, he be in his room and I be in my room. And this is my little safe haven right here. And I'm just as happy and content like a little lark. Me and the Lord just be having a good time in here. Sometimes he'll pop his head in here like, okay, Mom, who you talking to? Sometimes I be in here laughing. because the Lord be saying stuff to me, and I just be having a good time. But I'm learning not to sabotage myself no more in the things that God has called me to do, the places that God wants me to go. So you're the only one that's going to be the hindrance in your life in this year, 2026. So you are the only person sabotaging you. Whatever your sabotage, whatever you're blocking in your life, whatever you're trying to deliberately destroy, and whatever you're trying to move, and then God didn't tell you to move, because sometimes we move all out of disobedience. We move when God say don't move. When God says stay in the fire, like Meshach, back, whatever the four, and Daniel, the four Hebrew boys, and God put them in that fire. Sometimes, y'all, you got to stay in that fire. You got to stay in that fire so God can purify you and shake some things off of you. And the fire is hot. Oh, you understand that the fire is going to hurt. But one thing about it, when those four Hebrew boys was up in that fire, and when they opened that furnace and that king seen them, they didn't have, their hair wasn't scorched. They weren't burned, nothing. That's how God protects you, and that's how God keeps you. So get out of the way. You stop sabotaging you. Stop sabotaging yourself when God is trying to do something in your life. And then I'm going to wind this on down here. Your breakthrough is not on the outside. It's recognizing it's within you. It's no outside circumstances. It's no other people that are going to stop sabotaging you. It's within you. What I said, Proverbs 23:7. For a man thinking in his heart, so is he. I lost my train of thought. So you have to stop worrying about how other people are doing or what other people doing and how they're affecting you. You got to have all this within you. It has to be within you, within your knowing, and recognize. What did I say? You have to know grace meets you when you become aware. And you got to be aware, y'all. You are the person that's sabotaging you. It's nobody else. It don't take away that it happened to you. It don't take away that the trauma did exist. And it don't take away that people hurt you. You contribute, because what you think in your heart will show on the outside. It's what you think about yourself. How do you think about yourself? Maybe you never took the time to think about yourself. So I say to you, take a Selah moment and sit down. And my light went off. Take a Selah moment and sit down and think about how you feel about yourself. And I'm quite sure many people never do that. They never sit down and think about themselves. They think about what everybody else say about them or what everybody else tell them. But do you ever really think about yourself, who you are? Do you really take the time to do that? I know I never used to do that. But now I take the time and I go deep within. Sometimes you don't want to go deep down in there because there's some mess in there. But anytime you have mess, you got to clean mess out, so some new stuff and purify. And, old stuff got to come out in order for new stuff to go in. So you have to stop sabotaging yourself in 2026. And then awareness, not condemnation, but an invitation to healing. When you stop sabotaging yourself, you'll stop condemning yourself, and then you will invite a different change, a different mindset, a different thought, and a different feeling about yourself. Like I said, you're the only person sabotaging you. Some people might have a little contribution here and there, but just because somebody give you something to wear doesn't mean you have to wear it. You don't have to own it. And especially if that's not who God say you are. Sometimes we allow people to give us a new coat and we wear that coat proudly, and that's not even the coat like Joseph in the Genesis. That's not the coat that we should be wearing. And so because we take on what somebody else said, now we sabotage ourselves and don't be who God called us to be. So that's all I popped on here this evening to say to somebody. The only person sabotaging you is you. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on nobody else. They might have a little contribution to it, but you don't have to own up to it. You don't have to believe it, because what you think about what they say, what it said, for as a man thinking in his heart, so is he. And life and death is in the power of the tongue. So what are you speaking out of your life, out of your mouth? Are you speaking life or are you speaking death? Because if you're speaking death, that means you're sabotaging yourself. So y'all, on that note, Dr. Day said, see